17 years ago, and about 65 pounds ago, and a lot of gray hairs ago, I stood in front of the Justice of the Peace for the first time in my life when they asked, is the state of Texas ready?
Thank you.
I said yes. For the past 17 years, I have gotten up and gone to work, announcing ready for the great state of Texas. I started off with little traffic tickets, poor shrimpers that had too much shrimp on their boat. Did that for a while. Worked my way up into the misdemeanor section where I started doing DWIs, assaults, thefts. Did that for about 20 months, practiced in front of all 4 of the county courts at law. I did juvenile law, mental health law, and then about 20 months into it, I started with the district attorney's office. That was the county attorney's office. Back then, they were separated, but now they're together. And for several years, I developed my practice as a lawyer. Aggravated assaults, robberies, sexual assaults, and I learned it because the district attorney's office handles everything, including the juvenile law, handles all the misdemeanors, all the felonies, murders, capital murders, sexual assaults, etc. When a criminal is selling drugs out of a car, we get to take their car. If we prove, of course, that the car was used in commission of an offense, and we forfeit it. Police get some of it, district attorney's office get some of it. I have done asset forfeiture, civil forfeitures in Beeville, which I've been there since November. They wanted someone dumb enough, back in 1998, someone that didn't have any sense, to take on the gang problem in Nueces County. In the mid-90s, Ace of Spades was controlling 78415. You had graffiti everywhere, you had drive-by shootings everywhere. This town was out of control. Carlos Valdez looked to the entire office and said, is there anyone here who's willing to do it? 2 people stepped to the plate. One of them, Sandra Eastwood, who was recently let go, as well as myself. Nobody else wanted to have anything to do with it. So I did that for 4 years, bouncing across 8 district courts by myself, handling everything that they could throw at me. In the year 2000, I received the 2nd, 3rd of my death threats. In that year, after 7 years of serving in Nueces County, that's when Miss Jimenez got her law license. Now, for the next 6 years, she practiced divorce law as well as criminal defense. And as she was doing that, I was announcing ready for the state of Texas. Received my 4th death threat, run off the road, had glass put in my food, so that every one of you can sleep in your bed at night. When I go to a restaurant, I have to wonder what they're going to put in my food. When I go to a movie theater, I have to watch and say, hey, is that guy in tattoos looking at me? Does he remember me from somewhere? This is more than just about politics. This is about self-sacrifice. This is about a commitment to the public. This is about a commitment to the district attorney's office that's taken place for 17 years. I have tried to run a campaign as a prosecutor, as a professional. My opponent's adversaries decided to run the campaign like it was a divorce case, like it was a family law case. And because they can't possibly compare the qualifications and the experience in the jury trial, they decided to go after my divorce. In fact, someone of my opponent's supporters suggested if my ex-wife came forward and said anything today, then maybe she would be subjected to aggravated perjury. The grand jury is not a toy. The grand jury is not something to oppress people, your opponents. It's not something you use to clean out your district attorney's office to solve your personnel problems. The grand jury is responsible for people's lives. Whether you have a criminal record or not, how people look at you for the rest of your life, that's what the grand jury is for. That's what it's for. Not to be used just to find out who's tattletelling on it. District Attorney's Office is a very important position, and it should be treated that way. The motion in limine that Ms. Jimenez said on television was a serious motion to rebut whatever Rene Rodriguez was going to do. On the very front of that motion, which I copied and sent to every single one of you, it says, received by the District Attorney's Office. You do not file something with yourself. It was a joke. If you read through my analysis, 1 through 9, I illustrated, without saying anything negative about Ms. Jimenez, not attacking her personally, but what I did is I showed you as a prosecutor, as a trial lawyer, as someone who's interested in the truth, those types of things do not happen in the court of law. A lawyer is not allowed to say objection, BS, objection, what the F. You're not allowed to use that type of profanity in the courtroom because the judge would throw your little behind bars and tap you with a fine. I attached in the notebook that was sent to you the second motion in limine, which was the real one that was filed. So the father of the victim expressed as a complaint, hey, I'm worried about Rene Rodriguez doing this kind of stuff, and Ms. Jimenez turned it into a joke between her and Rene Rodriguez. 6-year-old children were victims of crime at that time. I don't think there's anything funny about raping of a child. It wouldn't even occur to me to write that type of filth. Now, it's bad enough to write it. Just say, hey, it was a joke. It was in bad taste. And initially, that's what she said. Channel 3 talked to her, and she said it was a joke. And apparently, the handlers got to her, she changed her story and said, no, it was serious. Thank you. And that's when the cover-up begins. And she starts talking about, well, someone leaked it was serious, or what have you. Well, Channel 3 talked to some other folks in the office, and they said, yes, she was laughing about it. They said, yes, she was laughing about it. The real motion in limine shows what a lawyer should do, not making fun of that. And then poor Sandra, who has got life in prison on Hannah Overton for killing a small child, she ends up getting fired. She's made the scapegoat for her mistake. Ladies and gentlemen, the district attorney's office is too serious a responsibility to hand it over to someone who doesn't have the confidence to surround themselves with good people. The demotion of Mark Skirka and Gail Lowe, board certified attorneys, and she gets on television and says, well, board certified, anyone can do that. Well, no, actually. You have to have a minimum of 50 jury trials. You have to be able to write appeals. There are certain standards there, but they were removed, and Rene Rodriguez's son, Robert, ended up getting promoted. And her organizational chart, you have Lee Person supervising nobody, and you also have Jim Lawrence supervising nobody, and you have Lisa Harris supervising 15 people. There's no one available to teach. It's not fiscally responsible to be spending all that managerial money on someone to supervise nobody. Now, I've given you a flow chart of how I would spread it out, putting Mark Skirka down to asset forfeitures like taking your star running back and making him an offensive lineman. And that's what she did for political gain. She cannot win in November because there's no credibility, because people can't possibly believe what she said based on the social money and other stuff. I'll ask for your